Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new week on Verbling, and welcome to this class. If you're watching us somewhere around the world, I hope you have had a great weekend. We're going to be doing a reading class today, and this class is one of the classes in my little series called Around the World in 80 Days. And we're going to be looking at part of the world which is reasonably near me today. That's Tasmania, which is in Australia. So those of you who've been to Australia may know about this place, and perhaps if you've never been, you have no idea where this place is, but it's a pretty cool place. So we're going to read a little bit about Tasmania today and find out about the wilderness that apparently exists there. I've never actually been to Tasmania, but I hope to go one day. While we're waiting for everybody to get here, let me just share a couple of pages with you. If you have just joined Verbling or you're not 100% familiar with everything that goes on here, then these might help you out a little bit. I'm going to post, first of all, my Verbling teacher page, and that's a really great place to go if you want to find out more about any of the teachers. It includes all the information that you should need to know about things like teacher schedule and tutoring slots that are free, but also a little bit more about your teacher, who they are and where they're from and how long they've been teaching, maybe their specialities. And if you do have any questions after reading all of that and perhaps watching the introductory or some other videos, then do get in touch with us, which you can do by using the Verbling messaging feature, which is also available on the Verbling teacher page. So that's a really handy one to access. The second one is the Facebook page, or My Verbling Teacher Facebook page. Lots of Verbling teachers have one of these as well. So if you're interested in following along with a couple of teachers, it could be a good place to go. I try and share some interesting stuff that happens in my classes, let you know what's coming up, and if I find anything that, during my week that I think, wow, this is cool, then I do share that on Facebook as well. Alright, so back to class, and we're going to say hello to everybody and find out, well, what they know about this place called Tasmania. So Martin, hello, and how are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Wonderful. Have you had a good weekend?
Good weekend, yes, definitely.
Excellent. Has the weather been okay?
Well, okay, yes. Not as it was 14 days ago, but it is fair.
Okay, not too bad. So not
No,
too good, not too bad.
no,
Um,
yeah, fine.
do you know anything about Tasmania, Martin?
Not really. I have some idea about the animals living there. I think there's an animal called the Tasmanian devil or something like that.
Yes. That is, and it's being characterized by who? I think there is a very famous cartoon called the Tasmanian Devil, right? So I'm gonna see if I can find that on Google. But yeah, that is one of the famous animals that lives there. So well done, Martin. You did know a fact about Tasmania. Let's have a look at the Tasmanian Devil. So this is the real one. If I can just share my screen quickly. Get that away, because this is kind of a cute animal, really. Apparently they're really dangerous. They look cute, but, well, actually they don't look so cute in all of those pictures. They've been a bit on the news because apparently there is some kind of a epidemic of some illness that's affecting them. So this is the real Tasmanian Devil, but you maybe know the Looney Tunes version. You can see it at the top, and you may have watched that. There we go. He's pretty famous too. So that's one thing we know about Tasmania. Let's get rid of that and go back and say hello. So welcome, Martin. Great to see you. Natalia, how are you this morning?
Well, thank you. Everything's okay. So now the weather has changed. So it's sunny now after 2 weeks of rain, I suppose. Yeah.
Hooray!
Yeah.
So what are you doing inside on Verbling, Natalia? Or is it the middle of the night for you?
Yeah, so it's midnight. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that explains it then. Oh, well, I'm very grateful. Do you know anything about Tasmania?
Actually, nothing.
Nothing at all. Well, you will by the end of this lesson, hopefully. So don't worry about that, Natalia, and lovely to see you.
Yeah, so nice to see you again.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Mustafa, how are you doing?
Hello, teacher. Good to see you. I'm doing well, thank
Good
you.
to see you too. Excellent. Any exciting news to tell us?
What can I say? Yeah, it is the third day of Eid al-Fitr, you know.
Yes, yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So this is my news.
That's your news. What have you been doing? Have you been doing anything special, like visiting your family or eating things or buying new clothes or...
We usually like in Eid go to family and visit family, like relatives, something like that.
Yes, absolutely. I have a Saudi Arabian boy living with me, so he's been busy partying actually, because he's like got through, you know, the whole month of Ramadan and not eating until it gets dark, and now he's just having a great time. So enjoy it.
Thank you.
All right, welcome to the class. Ksenia, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Excellent. And is it sunny for you, like Natalia said?
Yes, it's sunny and a lot of humidity.
Okay, so is that meaning that it's quite warm as well?
Yes, this morning I think in the night at the night it will be raining. I'm sorry,
Yes.
and do you have some echo? No, me. It's only me.
I'm not experiencing an echo, but maybe if the other students could just mute themselves, just if you're not talking, it does make it easier for everybody. So maybe Natalia, Martin, and Ali, could you guys mute your mics just while I'm not talking to you? Hopefully that will help, Ksenia. Is that any better?
Yes, I think so. No,
Brilliant.
it's echo. No,
No?
it's still echoing.
Okay, give it a chance, because sometimes just weird things happen, and you know it will improve as the lesson goes on. I'm not too sure what the problem is.
Yes,
Sorry,
okay, I
Ksenia.
see.
All right. Well, welcome to class. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
How are you today, Anna?
I'm fine, thank you for asking.
Excellent. And how's your back improving? Are you making progress?
Yes, I'm better.
You're better. Woohoo! Does that mean back to work?
No, and neither working nor workout yet.
Oh, not yet, but you're getting closer.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, let's hope you keep going with like that. Don't do anything you shouldn't do, Anna, like lift anything heavy by accident. And how's everything going in Brazil?
Mute.
All right, welcome. Lovely to see you. Ali, hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Welcome. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you very much for asking.
You're welcome. I love your picture, by the way.
Thanks a lot.
It's like a very pinky kind of sunset, is it? I guess I'm assuming it looks like a sunset to me.
Yeah, it's a picture of an island in southern Iran.
All right. Wow. I didn't actually notice the island. Are you from Iran?
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's very exciting. I like having students from all over different parts of the world. It's nice to meet you. Have you been
Nice to
celebrating
meet you too.
Eid? Is that how you say it? Eid? I'm not quite sure how to say that.
Yeah, that's right. We had a long weekend.
Yeah. Awesome. So have you been seeing your family like Mustafa?
That's right, true.
Brilliant. Oh, well, it's nice that some of us are having a little bit of a holiday time, and some of us it's summer, and actually for me, I'm in New Zealand, and it's winter in the middle of the year, and nothing exciting is happening, so it's great to hear from all of you.
Oh, I see.
And we're going to be talking about my side of the world, actually, for a little while today, because Tasmania is at the bottom of Australia. So let's have a look at what we're going to read today. I've got a bit of an introduction so that we can find out a tiny bit about Tasmania before we start reading our article, which is about the wilderness, which is quite cool, actually. So would anyone like to read this for us so that we can start being introduced to this unusual place? Nobody?
May I?
Thank you, Anna.
Okay. Tasmania, abbreviated as TAS, and known colloquially as Tassie. Teacher, I'm hearing an echo.
You're hearing an echo too. Ali, we can mute you just for a mo, just to see if that helps Anna.
Thank you. Is an island state that is part of the Commonwealth of Australia. It's located 240 kilometers, 150 miles to the south of the Australian mainland, separated by Bass Strait. I'm not sure. The state includes the main island of Tasmania, the 26th largest island in the world, and the surrounding 334 islands. The state has a population of 507,626 as of June 2010. Almost half of which resides in the Greater Hobart Precinct.
Yeah.
Precinct,
Which
forms the metropolitan area of the state's capital and largest city, Hobart.
Thank you, Anna. You had a couple of tricky ones there. You did very well with the numbers. This one here is just pronounced straight, the same as, you know, straight as opposed to curly or curvy or twisty. And this is like a name that we often give to pieces of water that are between two areas of land. So this is between the Australian mainland and the island of Tasmania. That's why we call it a strait. But well done. Beautiful reading. Does anyone have any other questions?
Teacher, what's the meaning of resides?
Of resides. This one here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone know what resides means?
To living.
Yeah, exactly. It just really means to live. So it's just a posh word to say to live to make your writing sound more interesting. Very simple. Any other questions?
Which form the metropolitan? I don't know what's metropolitan.
Good question. What does metropolitan mean? Does anyone know? Or can anyone guess?
It's subway, maybe main. No?
Sorry, Ksenia, what did you say? Subway?
Yes, it's a very central and important part of the city.
Yeah, exactly. So basically the word metropolitan in this way is like referring to the fact that it's to do with a city. It relates to a large city. So it's like an adjective meaning city, really, in this way. And precinct, okay. What does precinct mean?
It may be police station.
Sorry, one of you go ahead again, yeah?
Okay, Ksenia, go ahead. I think it's maybe police station, something, no?
Yes, okay, yeah. It can be used as that. It's a bit of a vague word, so it can mean, in this case, it really just means part of a city. So like an area, this precinct or the shopping precinct is like an area where you can shop, usually with no cars. The police precinct is like the area where the police station and the police hang out or are based. So it kind of just means area, basically. And so it's talking about the general Hobart area, the city, but also its surrounding kind of part as well. Any other questions? No? Perfect. All right, so we'll get rid of that, and now we're going to read the actual article. So if you do want to load this up, I'm just going to share the link with you now. One moment, please. There we go. And you can see it if you follow along here with me. Right, so we've got a really nice, beautiful shot there, and this is kind of like maybe the thing that attracted me to this topic today, because I was just amazed at how beautiful it was. And also, it's talking about how isolated and kind of wild this place is. So the title is Finding Timeless Utopia at the World's Edge. And we're going to read. So if you've never been to one of my reading classes before, you simply just take your time when you're reading your section, and we'll stop at the end so that we can ask questions. And I will correct any issues that you have with your pronunciation or help you if you get stuck. So let's go. I'm going to ask Ali, if you could start, please, with this here, an exclusive paddling.
Sure. An exclusive. I just lost. Okay. Let me check my article. An exclusive paddling trip through Tasmania's wild southwest corner offers solitude while it lasts.
Great, thank you, Ali. All right, we'll scroll down a little bit further, and if you could continue, please.
There are only 2 places in the world that meet a record 7 out of 10 in UNESCO's World Heritage Listing criteria.
Keep going.
The first is Mount Tai, one of 5 gargantuan mountains in China's Shandong province. The second is the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area, a chain of 6 national parks that covers 1/5 of Australia's Southern Island state. Southern Island state.
Yes, well done.
I can hear my voice actually. Yeah.
There seems to be an echo problem today.
Okay.
I think, Amy, it's from you. Because we all muted and only you one not muted.
Yeah, to be honest, Ksenia, it may be. I'm not quite sure what to do about that because I've got my headphones in. And
maybe when we will reading, you can mute yourself and then unmute.
All right, I will do that. Thank you, Ksenia. So I'm going to mute myself too, guys. Does anyone have any questions about the first little section? No? Just the little intro about this place, and I wasn't aware that it was one of the UNESCO's World Heritage listings that fulfills so many of the criteria, so it's kind of amazing. All right, let's continue. So, Anna, it's your turn to read, and I'm going to mute myself, so off you go.
Okay. Tasmania's Parks and Wildlife Service describes the area as one of the world's last true wilderness regions, and the widest, largest and least visited section is Southwest National Park, comprising 6,000 square kilometers of cold green ranges, glacial lakes, untamable rivers, rainforests, and moors in the southwest corner of the Apple Isle. Cyclonic force winds and lashing rains pummel the park for nearly 9 months of the year. When shards of sunlight finally pierce the thick rolling clouds in December, it welcomes two very exclusive groups of visitors.
Thank you, Anna. Lovely reading. There were some tricky words in here. So does anyone have any questions about any of the words?
Comprising.
Sorry, I missed that.
She said comprising.
Comprising, was it?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Does anyone know what to comprise means?
It consists of 6,000 square kilometers.
Yep, exactly. Consists of, includes, is made up of, something like that. Any other questions?
Can I ask one?
Yes.
Sorry, go.
What is a moor?
Good question. What is a moor?
Is
A
it
moor is a
wetland?
place.
I think that was Natalia just... Yep. Was that you, Natalia? Were you answering just a moment ago? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so is it a wetland?
No, it's not a wetland.
Sorry.
It's swamps.
Swamps? No, not swamps.
No?
It's a large area with where grassland and no woods, no woodland. Dartmoor, for example, in England, southern part of England, a huge area with nothing much is growing there besides grass.
Yep, perfect. Thank you, Martin. So we actually have quite a few of these in the UK. Basically, as Martin said, they are just an area of grassland, basically. There's not much that grows there except very low bushes and scrub and stuff like that. No trees, and it's...
Quite a lot of heather sometimes.
Yeah, heather is really common, absolutely. All right.
Okay, thank you.
We seem to be having a little few issues with the sound, guys. So if you could please just be really, really vigilant and make sure you're always muted unless you're speaking. And I will try my best to do the same. Then maybe this can just improve a little bit. So thanks, Anna, for that. And it's Ksenia's turn to read.
The first group, numbering around 1,000 each year, is made up of independent hikers who fly to the former tin mining settlement of Melaleuca on Tasmania's south coast, the starting point of the South Coast Trek. With mind-boggling mountain vistas, fast river crossings, cramped including inclines and inclement weather, the 84 kilometers slog to the eastern hamlet of Cockle Creek is considered one of the world's greatest and most challenging wilderness treks. Hikers must be strong enough to carry large backpacks with a rich supply of clothing and food, as well as cooking equipment, tents, sleeping bags, first aid kits, and distress radio beacons.
Thank you, Ksenia. All right, really lovely reading. Before we talk about it, let's just check that everyone understands the vocab. So, just one word here, Ksenia. Cramp-inducing. Cramp-inducing.
Cramp-inducing.
Yeah.
Cramp-inducing.
What does it mean? Anyone know?
Inclines is very steep place, and then we're walking, then you get cramps in your legs if you try to walk these places.
Yeah, exactly. So really, really steep walking areas that give you cramp, which doesn't sound great. Yep. Any other questions?
Yes. Mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling, this one here?
Mm-hmm.
What does mind-boggling mean? This is a cool word. You should write this one down if you don't know it.
Maybe breathtaking.
Yes, breathtaking. That's a good one. Ksenia, because you've given me like another choice. Because breathtaking is literally something that takes away your breath. So mind-boggling is something that boggles your mind. Does anyone know what that actually means?
Somehow confuses you.
Yes, Ali, go ahead. What were you saying?
I said somehow confuses you or makes you bewildered,
Yes,
makes you feel bewildered.
exactly. Yes, it's bewildering. Perfect synonym. It means that you can hardly comprehend it. It's so your mind can't get around the idea. It's so crazy or so amazing in some way. Any other questions?
Yeah, sorry. Tin mining.
Tin mining. Excellent. What is tin mining referring to?
Tin is a metal, and it's a place where you can mine this metal.
Yep, exactly. Martin, it's so great having you in class. For definitions, your definitions are just beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else? No? All right, so let's just pause for a moment because it's talking about kind of a very unique experience. If I just scroll down, then you can see here that there's a tent that they erected just on the, well, wilderness. It looks kind of cold to me. Has anyone ever been on a trip similar to this where you've actually camped somewhere really, really isolated, or you've maybe walked somewhere quite isolated and experienced this feeling of wilderness?
I walked all over in UK, and there are places like that. I've never slept during the night in such a place, but I've been walking in such places plenty of times.
All right, so you know a bit about it, Martin. I think that, you know, the UK is quite a small country, and some of you guys come from much larger countries which definitely have areas of wilderness. Would anyone like to tell us a little bit about the areas of wilderness in their country? Does anyone know anything about them?
Yeah, so for example, I have always dreamt of going to the mountains, either to the Caucasus, for example, but I know that I won't be able to survive there. I won't be able to to climb, so probably it's better to go to the places of less degree of wilderness, to the Urals,
Yep.
for example. Yeah. Yeah, so probably these are the places of wilderness in Russia.
Yep.
So at least
And
the
you've
ones
never
that
been?
so actually I've been to the Urals, to the cities, but located near the Urals, but I have never climbed the mountains. So I mean that I have never experienced that feeling of wilderness.
Yeah, I must admit, Natalia, I don't think I have really either. And it's somehow attractive in some way. I know it's probably really, really tough, but it does appeal to me. What about Ali? Can you tell us about Iran, Ali?
Yeah, actually, I've been to a gorge quite close to the capital. So we hiked through the gorge for 8-9 hours, and then we reached
Wow.
the lake.
Wow. And did you camp?
We didn't camp because it was a one-day trip.
Okay, just a day trip.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I want to find out about Brazil. Anna, tell us about Brazil. Have you been to the wilderness areas in Brazil?
I've been to the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah.
And
what was it like?
it is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
There are huge trees there and a lot of indigenous people and I stay in a hotel at the middle of the forest, but I don't like going camping.
Yeah, you don't like camping.
No, I hate it. But I
Mhm.
had hiked there,
Mhm.
and there are huge insects. You have to
Huge
care.
insects.
Yes, you have to care. Bug spray and
Yeah.
repellent and so on.
Just to make sure you don't get overrun with bugs. Ooh, that doesn't sound too nice to me, Anna, but I'm sure it's absolutely amazing. It's one of the world's
Yes,
jewels.
because there are a lot of animals, interesting animals, you know,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so just a couple of you, sorry to change the subject, are still struggling with the echo. If you don't have a headset on, please do get one, because that definitely does help in some situations. However, it doesn't seem to help with every situation. So if you don't have a headset, please grab one now, and we're going to carry on. All right, thank you to the readers so far. And we're going to move on now to Mustafa. If you could read from the second group, please.
Okay. Okay, I'll start off. The second group consists of the 100 odd people who join one of Roaring 40's 8 annual hiking trips, which run from early December to mid-March. One of only two ecotourism companies that can operate in the park. Roaring Forties expeditions range from 3 to 7 days and traverse the waters of Fort Davey Marine Reserves, the most remote and unvisited part of Southwest National Park. The exclusivity might quickly be disappearing, though, as Tasmania's Parks and Wildlife Service looks to turn the entire Tasmanian Wilderness Heritage Area, including Southwest National Park, into the new ecotourism capital of the world. Among the 37 potential tourism proposals, according to the most recent figures from the Sydney Morning Herald, government officials are considering developing a luxury guided walk along the South Coast Track, which would require the construction of 5 permanent huts and clearly defined helicopter landing sites, bringing in many thousands more visitors to the Southwest National Park each year.
Thank you, Mustafa. Well done. Great reading. I just want to go through a couple of words. In the first paragraph, this one here, ecotourism.
Ecotourism.
Great. Then we had intrepid.
Okay. What is it? Sorry. Intrepid. What was it?
Yep.
Okay.
And then
Intrepid.
you can see, yep, intrepid. And then just in the second paragraph, this is what we've been talking about as the sort of subject today. And yes, if we use it as an adjective, we would say wild, and sometimes we can say in the wild. But this is pronounced wilderness, okay?
Okay. Wilderness.
Yeah. Perfect. Well done. All right, so first of all, questions.
Like, for example, expeditions. Range. Expeditions. What's expeditions?
Expeditions?
Hmm.
Good question. What is an expedition? Anyone know?
It's trip somewhere.
What kind of trip, Ksenia?
Interesting.
Yes, yeah, that's
So
true. Well, we
some,
hope so.
I don't know, it's some kind.
Go on.
When you're going to explore something, then you will go on an expedition for the thing you want to examine, an exploration
that's
of
true.
the wilderness, for example.
Yes, exactly. There's one key thing about it, though, that an expedition is usually an expedition is like a trip within a trip. So you may go somewhere on holiday, or you might go to, you know, the forest. But an expedition would be like a mini trip inside your forest trip, maybe going to, I don't know, see if you can find a river, or, I don't know, exploring somewhere around you. And it may or may not be an overnight one, but usually it is sort of like a mini trip within a bigger trip. Or you can go on an expedition from your house, but then it would tend to be just like a day exploring something. Any other questions?
I wonder if the roaring 40s is for people who are in the age of 40 to 50 years old, and they are roaring. That's the name of the company.
I wondered about that too, to be honest, Martin. I came up with the same interpretation because I couldn't think of anything else that 40s might be, you know, referring to. But yeah, perhaps you need to be in your 40s to be mad enough and strong enough to do this.
Yeah. I think that will be the age group this sort of trip would appeal to.
Yeah, probably. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, I just want to ask you what you think about this, guys. So currently, as we read in the first one that Mustafa read, there's 8 annual kayaking trips, so only 8 a year, and there's about 100 people in each one. They last for between 3 and 7 days, so it's not really very many visitors. But it says in the second paragraph that Mustafa read that this is possibly going to change. There are a lot of tourism proposals, and they're thinking about developing a luxury guided walk, which means that they'd have to construct permanent huts, landing sites, and more visitors would come. So this is something like a situation that I think is faced by so many parts of the world. What do you guys think of it? Is it a good idea to try and get more tourism to these places, or do you think it's a shame and that we should try and keep some places of our planet, you know, unvisited?
It will not be wilderness anymore if you are going to make all these hot helicopter places.
Good point. Very good point. Do you think that's a good thing, Martin, or a bad thing, or just life?
Well, some places you have to have places like that, but not all places. There must be places for everywhere, for every person's interest. So those who like wilderness, they must just learn to cope with. You can only go there some 8 times a year, maybe, and you have no news and so on.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. I agree. I think it also depends on like the country and maybe things like how, you know, rare these places are. For me, it sounds at the beginning of this article as if this place is actually very rare because it meets so many of the UNESCO World Heritage criteria. What do you think about this, Anna?
Sorry.
What do you think about the problem between keeping places wild and natural and having tourists go to them?
Well, I believe the tourism is always harmful, you know, somehow. And then if you allow tourists, the place can be destroyed because people, you know, oh my gosh. Sorry, teacher.
That's all right. You're talking beautifully. Keep going. I'm very interested because I think that this is an issue that you, particularly in your country, have, you know, to deal with a lot because you have the Amazon in your country.
Okay, even when they go with ecotourism.
Yep.
People always, how can I say, destroy something. They wanna keep a remind. How can I
Yes.
say,
A reminder, a memento, maybe?
a memento? Yes, and they get something from the nature.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the mankind is always destroying things. Um, Teacher, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You've spoken beautifully. I must admit, Anna, I do sway towards agreeing with you. I teach Spanish to children as well, and one of my students recently went to Australia on holiday, and she said she went to visit some penguins, a wild penguin colony. And basically what happens is these penguins have their burrows on the shore. The dads of the families, the dad penguins, go out each day to hunt for food, and then they come back at about dusk. And when they come back, it's apparently amazing to see all of these penguins all flood in at the same time and then feed their families with what they've caught. And people had been going to see these, but everybody wanted to take a photo because you know what we're like, humans, like you just mentioned, Anna. But what happened was that the flashes on the cameras blinded the penguins, and then they could no longer do anything because they were blind. They couldn't see what they were doing, and they started to die out. So it was really sad. It took them a while to figure out what was going on, but even the very, very kind of seemingly uninterrupting fact of taking a photo completely ruined the penguins' lives. So it made me think, that's for sure. Does anyone else want to comment? No? All right. Let's carry on reading. So Natalia, could you take up from There's Also Talk?
Okay, so there's also talk of upgrading the landing strip at Melaleuca into an instrumental airfield, said Roaring Forties expedition leader Reg Grundy. If that goes ahead, planes would be able to take off and land 12 months a year, and it would make it economically feasible to build a bunch of vehicle lodges here. Whether or not that happens, I think it's inevitable this place will change.
Can you keep going?
Yeah, I joined Roaring Forties on a 3-day, 112-kilometer expedition through the Port Darby Marine Reserve to see the park before it does. Shall I continue?
Yes, just one more part.
How was the taxi ride-in? Grundy asked. He was referring to our knuckle-clenching flight from the capital Hobart, which hugged the jagged, soaring sea cliffs of Tasmania's south coast before landing at Melaleuca. A salt of the earth, Bear Grylls type character with a thick Aussie drawl, Grundy made light out of everything except safety.
Thank you, Natalia. Lovely reading. I just want to go over a couple of things. They're actually both names. So I know names are kind of a funny thing in the language, but it is useful to know how to pronounce some of the key kind of normal names that people have. This one's pronounced Reg, okay?
Yeah, Reg.
And this one, Davy.
Davy, yeah.
As in Dave. And then we have also this word here, which is jagged.
Jagged, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go back up to here. Anyone have any questions about this paragraph? No? All right, and how about these two? Can anyone explain what knuckle clenching is?
I know only knuckle cracking. It's the same?
Yes, you do say knuckle cracking, Sonia. Can you explain what your knuckle is?
It's maybe fingers. in your
Yeah,
arms and you do action with them so we can hear some noise.
yes, well explained. So it's actually like the joins on your fingers. Where your fingers bend are your knuckles, particularly where they join onto your hand. So to clench means to tighten or to squeeze. So it means that you're squeezing your hands together and maybe holding onto your seat or something. So it was obviously quite a scary flight or quite a rough flight. Anyone else have any questions? No? All right, thank you. Let's carry on. Martin.
Yeah. I won't sugarcoat it, he said. This is an expedition on the edge of the world. There's nothing here. If the weather turns, we need to be confident enough to survive in the wilderness in a long-term situation. From the airstrip, we carried our duffel bags through a field sown with wildflowers to the bank of Millaloukala Creek, where a couple of two-person sea kayaks loaded with provisions awaited. After donning an ensemble of wind and waterproof gear, we settled into our vessels and paddled into the wild. We spent the morning heading north into Millaloika Inlet, a narrow body of water lined with mangroves, stopping for lunch at Forest Lagoon, a standing camp with a dozen bungalows 6 kilometers downriver from Millaloika. After knocking back a few sandwiches, we paddled north into Bathurst Harbour before veering west into Bathurst Narrow. It was here that we first saw Port Davey Marine Reserve's tea-colored waters, stained by tannins created by the constant confluence of fresh and salt water, and edged with quartzite beaches and rocks covered in fluorescent green or yellow moss. Port Davey is one of the most bizarrely colored estuaries on Earth.
Thank you, Martin. All right, so we've got a little way into the trip now. So we'll go back to this part here. I think the photography is pretty amazing, but it certainly does look a little bit harsh, to me at least anyway. Didn't mean to do that, sorry. It's very annoying. Right, where am I? Oh, sorry guys, just stuffed that up. Right, back down here. Right, does anyone have any questions about the first little paragraph here? Can somebody explain what sugarcoating something is?
You sugarcoat a cake.
Yep.
Put a layer of sugar on it.
Yes, to put a layer of sugar. Can you explain, like, metaphorically what it means?
In this case, it means that I will not make it too easy for you. This is an expedition and so on, which is really rough. So I won't tell it it's easy and nice.
Yes, exactly. So it absolutely, Martin. It kind of means you're not going to make it sound easier than it is by putting metaphorical sugar on it. So it's tough, basically. Anyone else have any questions about the next part from the airstrip? This one here. Oh, and these two. All right, that's good. We're understanding everything. All right, so I have a couple of questions for you now. What do you think would be the most attractive thing for you about doing this kind of trip? So it doesn't maybe necessarily have to be so much into the wilderness. It doesn't have to be as extreme. But this kind of trip where you go out and you spend some time, you know, away from normal life in a place with really, really beautiful nature and maybe a group of people. Does that sound appealing to any of you? And if so, what would be the appealing factor about it for you?
I can
May
answer.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Maybe if they build some or one hotel
Yep.
where I can stay and go to some trip for 5 or 6 hours, but I don't want to sleep in the tent or in slums. I don't know, slums, or how to say, no, hunt, simple house. I forgot. Hunt.
A hut. A hut.
Hut. Yes, hut.
Yeah.
And if it was, and if it will be a hotel, it will be very comfortable for me to sleep in the night there and then go to some trip.
Okay, if there was a hotel, Ksenia, don't forget
Yes,
that
if there
if you're
were.
talking, use the yeah.
Condition.
Okay, so you sound like you sound like you agree with Anna about the camping.
Yes.
But you'd be interested in being there, but just the night, staying the night in an uncomfortable, cold hut or freezing tent might not be a bit off-putting for you.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Ksenia. Ali, how about you?
Yeah, I think the most appealing part is the visual beauty you get when you go to this kind of trips. As the article has put it, you get different colors of water even.
Yep.
So you get the full spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. And also maybe seeing places that are relatively untouched by humanity. You don't see, telegraph poles or anything that's a sign of humans living there. So it really feels isolated. So the visual beauty is your pick. I agree, Ali.
True.
Martin, I just want to ask you, because you've actually been on a few of similar type trips in the UK. Why do you go on these trips? What's your
we
reason?
like the company with people when we are walking outside, and we every year we spend about 3 or 4 weeks on holidays of this type. But we are not camping outside. We are walking during the day, and then we spend the night in a nice hotel. But it's
So
very nice
you agree? Mm-hmm.
So it's very nice just to be out walking on places, climbing the mountains, Snowdon or the higher mountains in the UK, and then come back to a nice hotel, have a nice meal, and then go on the next day after having slept well at the hotel.
Yeah, absolutely. You agree with Ksenia then, Martin. It's not just girls.
I've been a scout when I was young, and I have slept in tents, and I'm not doing that anymore, I would say.
Well, I don't blame you, to be honest. All right, how about you, Anna? What would be the most appealing thing for you, or do you find this kind of trip totally unappealing?
For me, it's unappealing because I like to stay in hotels and stay comfortable. But the landscape is awesome. It's stunning, wonderful. I wish I could stay in a hotel. On the other hand, I don't want to see the nature being destroyed, so it's not appealing.
Sure. Okay, good answer. How about you, Natalia?
So if I went to this place, well, I would probably live in tents because for me, going to the place of wilderness is associated with something, well, some kind of primitive maybe, but nevertheless really very attractive, where you can challenge yourself, your abilities to survive, for example, and all these things. And certainly, I would enjoy the beauty of it.
Awesome. Well, there you go, Natalia. You're not put off by the fact that you'd have to camp. I'm very impressed with your, I don't know, your daring attitude. Let's say that. So, Natalia, when you go on your next trip to visit the Ural Mountains, you have to camp and climb the mountain for us, okay?
Okay. All right.
No pressure. I'm only teasing. So yeah, maybe don't overlook taking a kind of a trip like this one time in your life. I'm sure that in every country there is a place you can go to do this. There certainly is in New Zealand, where I am right now. There even is in the UK, which I haven't done myself and Martin has. I'm very jealous of that, Martin. I hope one day I can too. Parts of Wales are really beautiful and not too wilderness-y. So maybe you want to practice your English too. The USA has some brilliant places like this as well. So, I hope you found the class interesting, guys. I'm going to let you go now to your next class or wherever it may be. So, take care. Have a really lovely evening or day, and I hope to see you all again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.